The stupidest people I've met weren't the uneducated ones. They were the ones who were certain. Certain they were right. Certain they knew what was best. Certain they could never be wrong. And when you look around today, you'll see them everywhere. Talking, posting, shouting, but never listening. The ancient Greeks had a word for that kind of blindness: hubris. The arrogance that makes you stop learning because you've already decided you know enough. There was a time when I thought I had life figured out. I had a plan, a timeline, a clear idea of who I was becoming. But the moment I became certain, I stopped seeing. Every mistake after that came from thinking I knew. I wasn't curious anymore. I wasn't learning, only defending. The ancient Greeks warned, nothing in excess. Even knowledge, when held too tightly, becomes ignorance. Thucydides wrote about it, the fall of Athens. The city that once symbolized wisdom, democracy, and art, collapsed beneath its own certainty. Its leaders were so sure of victory, so blinded by the glow of their own greatness, that they stopped asking questions. They called it strategy. But it was hubris, blind confidence disguised as intelligence. The result was disaster, the Sicilian expedition. They marched across the sea certain of triumph and returned in silence, broken and defeated. The greatest city in Greece lost not to Sparta, but to its own arrogance. The Greeks learned a brutal lesson. The moment a nation stops questioning itself, its golden age begins to die. Socrates watched the fall of Athens with quiet despair. He wasn't the smartest man in the city, just the most aware. When the oracle at Delphi called him the wisest of all men, he laughed, because he knew the truth. I know that I know nothing. It wasn't humility, it was protection, a shield against the arrogance that had destroyed his people. The world was drowning in opinions, and Socrates refused to add another. He chose awareness over arrogance, reflection over reaction, and for that, they silenced him. But his warning remains. The cost of certainty is truth. Aristotle gave that awareness a name, phronesis, not just wisdom, but practical judgment, the ability to pause, observe, and act without ego. He taught that knowledge alone isn't enough. It must serve something greater, balance. Without phronesis, brilliance turns reckless, and confidence turns cruel. He warned that when reason is cut off from reflection, intelligence becomes a weapon. Leaders rush into wars. Parents force dreams onto their children. And we, believing we're right, destroy what we love most. Phronesis isn't about knowing everything. It's about knowing when to stop and think again. 2,000 years later, the poet John Keats called it negative capability, the ability to hold two opposing truths at once, without rushing to resolve them. The Greeks lived by that same art. They saw life not as a single answer, but as a dance between opposites, chaos and order, love and pain, ignorance and wonder. Real intelligence isn't choosing sides, it's learning to live between them. To the ancient Greeks, contradiction wasn't a problem, it was a teacher. They believed harmony wasn't found in perfection, but in tension, balance, and understanding both sides of a truth. It's easy to shout what we believe, it's harder to sit with what we don't. That's where the mind expands. That's where wisdom begins. Today, we've lost that ability. Every conversation becomes a battlefield. We collapse complex truths into one-sided slogans. We crave certainty because doubt feels weak. But doubt isn't weakness. It's awareness. It's the beginning of all real thought. The Greeks built their philosophy on questions, not answers. Now we scroll for confirmation, not understanding. and we wonder why we feel so lost. We've turned wisdom into noise. Every voice demands to be right. Every thought becomes a weapon. The Greeks warned us, when certainty rules, dialogue dies. And when dialogue dies, truth follows. We're surrounded by opinions, but starved for understanding. If this moment has reminded you of how easy it is to mistake noise for knowledge, and how hard it's become to truly think, then subscribe to Timeless Mind by Nikolaos. Each week, we return to ancient wisdom, to pause, reflect, and remember that wisdom begins where certainty ends. This is your space to think again, your philosophy, your voice remembered. Aristotle said, "The mark of an educated mind is to entertain a thought without accepting it, but that takes humility and patience. It means admitting that life is more complex than your opinion. It means listening before speaking, observing before judging, and questioning even the truth you love most. That's not weakness. That's strength. We've been taught to chase answers, but wisdom lives in the questions. It's born in the quiet moments, when you dare to say, 'I don't know, but I'm willing to learn.' That's how the Greeks found truth, not by declaring it, but by seeking it. Thucydides was right. Most harm in this world isn't caused by evil people. It's caused by the stupid ones, the ones too certain to see beyond themselves. They speak louder than they listen. They act faster than they think, and they call it conviction. But what it really is blindness dressed as strength. You'll find them everywhere, in offices, in parliaments, behind screens and microphones, armed with answers, allergic to questions. And yet, we're not innocent either. Every time we react without reflection, every time we mistake confidence for clarity, we join them. I've learned the hard way. Certainty feels safe until it collapses. You cling to it like armor until you realize it's the weight pulling you down. The more I tried to be right, the less I actually understood. The more I tried to control, the more I lost touch with myself. True wisdom isn't about collecting truths. It's about noticing when your mind has stopped moving, when your curiosity has died. That's when foolishness begins, not in the world around you, but in the silence within you. The Greeks never sought to be right. They sought to understand. They turned thinking into a daily ritual, examining every choice, every reaction, every desire. They didn't fear doubt. They honored it. Because doubt meant the mind was still alive, alive enough to question itself, alive enough to grow. They understood that awareness, not certainty, is what keeps us human. To live wisely is to live awake, to notice the small things, to listen before you speak, and to stay humble before the mystery of life. Because when the noise fades and only silence remains, that's where truth begins. Maybe stupidity isn't about not knowing. Maybe it's about refusing to keep learning, about closing your mind when it should be open. We all fall into it. Every time we choose comfort over curiosity, every time we defend instead of understand, that's when wisdom dies quietly inside us. So ask yourself, when was the last time you let uncertainty guide you? When did you last say, "I don't know, but I'd like to understand"? That's where wisdom begins, in humility, in curiosity, in the silence between certainty and doubt. Know thyself.